manga named One Piece made its debut in the Shonen Jump Company's weekly magazine on July 22, 1997. With that information, since this May, it has still managed to sell 5 million copies this year alone. A newer age manga called My Hero Academia, which debuted in 2014 in the same company's weekly magazine, sold 3 million copies this year. It in fact is so popular that a season 4 of the anime, which is a cartoon based off of the books, is releasing this month. Because manga has grown so much in popularity, I believe people should know about the storyboarding, the final drafting process, and the publication of these books. According to the art of the graphic novel, Eric Schanauer explains the first major step to making a manga. This first major step is stated to be that you have to gather information and research what inspires your plot line of your manga. He explains that most manga artists do their mangas in chunks. For him personally, he stated it was roughly 20 pages a chunk. They write the script first, which includes the dialogue that goes into the chat bubbles that the characters use to interact. After this process, they review what has been written and edit it to perfection. The next major step which is the major key to a manga, is the art. He states that you can split a page up into 3 categories: characters, scenes, and props. Once the subjects of these categories are settled, they make a rough sketch of everything for this chunk. This helps organize the page and determine the sizes of each panel. Once everything is in place, they place a sketch that is rigid but still able to be changed. This first process then leads to the final draft of a manga. The final draft of the manga is the final step taken before being published. Once the sketching is finished, the next step is the inking. They set the sketch in stone by using inks to line everything. The artist finalizes this using inks like India ink, which is typically also used in tattoos, by using dip pens, or they use fine liners like micron pens, which can get you thinner and more precise lines. They line the main story in black and white, and then the covers are typically drawn in color. For this information I'm about to provide, I physically studied famous mangas from the Shonen Jump Company I mentioned earlier. I studied My Hero Academia, which I mentioned, and the newest addition to the company's arsenal, which is Demon Slayer. Typically, the whole story of the manga between the covers in black and white, and traditionally the cover is in color. They use varying line weights to add depth and motion to each panel. This art style is different than most American comics since they don't utilize color. So they utilize artist techniques like hatching and blocking out areas with black altogether to emphasize shading. Once all of this is finished, the team that created the manga then takes it to their boss or their hosting company for publication. The final step that puts manga on the shelves is obviously publishing them. The publishing process can differ depending on what company is hosting what authors. Using Shonen Jump as an example, they have a weekly magazine which features 1 chapter every week for their most popular manga. So this puts the workload of going through this whole process within a week, except it's only 1 chapter. The other way they handle this is doing it by volume, which is by book. And the workload is obviously much greater, but they get offered more time to complete a whole book. As an author's manga gets popularized, and the farther it goes and the closer it gets to reaching that full ending of the plot, it is said that the workload dies down, and this is stated by the hit manga Naruto's creator Masashi Kishimoto himself in an interview at New York Comic Con 2015. Thus, this ends the process of creating a manga. In conclusion, these three main points are very important to making an effective and popular manga. To reiterate, these are the storyboarding, the finalization, and the publication of these books. I personally had, especially being an artist that takes a lot of inspiration from these books, it can be very beneficial to study something not as traditional or Americanized. And even as maybe as people that are not artists themselves, you could probably take something away from this, especially maybe even if you're a writer. So thank you all for listening.
Very good.